As you guys know, it's Thursday, and with us today we have our beloved brother Hamza. MashaAllah. Hamza is going to talk, inshallah, to us today about a very important topic, which I think we've been mentioning it before as well. But sometimes, it's a topic which unfortunately is brushed under the carpet from my own experience. And I think it's very important for Muslims to be aware of not only problems in the wider community, non-Muslim community, but also problems that we have in our own communities as well. And specifically today, we're going to be addressing the problem or certain challenges that people who accept Islam seem to face. So Hamza, inshallah, is going to talk about that with us, and he is the best qualified for that. We're not qualified for that, so we are just going to be learning, inshallah, from you, Hamza, today. Are you okay with that, Hamza?
Yeah,
ready for the teaching, becoming our ustad today?
Inshallah.
Or you're in doubt? You're in doubt, yeah? Our ustad's in doubt. Bro.
No, I'm just a bit embarrassed you're saying that, to be honest, because I used to sit at your feet, so
We're going to learn something from each other, inshallah.
yeah,
We're going
inshallah.
to learn something. So anyway, let us know if you guys can hear in the comments. I don't know, Hamza, can you see the comments in the side?
Yeah,
Not sure if it turns up.
I have to scroll down and see. Yeah.
All right, excellent. So if you guys have any questions, then please put your questions in the comments, inshallah, and we'll try to get them answered. And Hamza, inshallah, will try to help us as well in answering these questions. So first of all, Hamza, what is your favorite Muslim food?
There's only one Muslim food, that's biryani.
Do you remember the first time you ever had biryani?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember the first ever time, but I remember eating it when I first became Muslim, like all the time.
And what was that sensation like? Was it like, are you kind of someone who can't take too spicy food, or are you a mild person, or are you like?
You know what? Initially, because 20 years of my life, I never had like proper home cooked food. Like it was always like packet stuff. So when I have like proper made, homemade food,
Okay.
that was when I became a Muslim. And like I used to love biryani and all the paratha and all these things, yeah. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't handle the spice no more. So I don't really eat it no more. And to be honest, whenever I go for doubt around people's houses, they know now because I moan a bit and say like I'm not coming if it's spice in your food and stuff.
Yeah, so you're kind of like, all right. I actually know quite a few converts who actually love spicy food. Obviously, it might be because of their background as a culture. There's like a few Sikh brothers I know, and they love spicy food. I mean, their probably background was eating Asian food anyway. So what about parathas and greasy food? You okay with that?
I'm okay with paratha.
Yeah, paratha's good. Yeah. Do you like the crispy paratha, or do you like the soft ones?
I like them soft, wet ones covered in ghee.
Oh, soggy, yeah. Soggy ghee. You're hot. Your arteries, mashallah. I don't know which level of tawakkul you're working on here.
I don't have it that often, to be honest. I don't have it that often.
Yeah, I remember, when I was young, I used to hate it. But then when I started studying in Pakistan, it was like the only option I really had for breakfast.
Yeah,
So I used to like eat outside, breakfast outside. And it was like they used to dollop on the ghee. It was like big spoonfuls, just whacking it on, rolling it up, putting it on this grease based, like kind of big, massive. So this heavy metal. And the smell, you could breathe the grease into your lungs. That's how much grease if you were next to it. But yeah, I mean, after a while, I think it is kind of like a bit sort of like heavy on the heart. Yeah, you feel a bit bloated.
In the West, you can't maintain your health on that kind of diet.
Yeah, I suppose so. Weather as well, is it? You think it's the weather?
Yeah, because in Asian countries, it's same with all the chilies and that. Chilies cool your body down, as far as I know.
Okay.
You know,
And so, oh yeah, because I think maybe climate as well and our lifestyle. We go around in
yeah,
cars all the time and we don't really kind of
exactly.
sweat it out too much. Yeah, I guess so.
But you become
So,
motu.
more exactly, bro. That's it. Well, you don't become motu, otherwise, those who are not married will not be able to, will be finding it difficult on shadi.com. Okay, so just to repeat for the viewers today, if there is anyone who wants to have ask a question or anything, please put the question in the comments. And if there's any revert out there who would like to come on our show today, then please send me an email. I'll just put the email up here. Send an email and I'll send you a link, and you can come on. You can tell us about your experience and about converting to Islam, challenges that you faced as well. So I'm going to put the email up here. This is the email. Yeah. This is the email for those who want to participate. So you can come on. Maybe if you don't want to show your face as well, we don't mind. Male, female, anyone's welcome. As long as you are nice to us. Yeah, kind to us. Me and Hamza. Yeah, we are meek. We're meek individuals, man. Yeah, we can't take too much harsh comments. So, okay. So I mean, like, I guess in a way, people who start practicing and people who actually come into Islam, there's like an overlap there. You can say there's a kind of overlap. Like both kind of experience different types of lifestyles, and then they realized like Islam. But clearly, someone who has come from a background who was believing in something totally different, and then coming into Islam, this is something which many Muslims can't seem to appreciate, understand, from my slow understanding of how things in the past have sort of like occurred. And is even for like Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they were reverts to Islam, converts to Islam. Oh, by the way, first of all, this convert and revert term, what are you? Where do you stand?
It don't bother me. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. These kind of discussions are pointless. Like convert, really, does it really matter? It doesn't matter.
Oh, so you're in the group that it doesn't matter, yeah? You're in the it doesn't matter
Yeah,
group.
yeah. I've become Muslim. That's it. It don't matter. Forget about it.
But you get those kind of sometimes some people who are very kind of specific and will argue that no, we are reverts to Islam because the fitrah, that every child was born upon the fitrah,
Yeah,
in the sense that they kind of understand it as being the natural way of believing in God.
yeah.
And then they kind of like their parents sort of like socially sort of like change their belief mindset, and then they saw Islam, convert to Islam. So
Initially,
Valerie's saying I stand on the word revert. So Valerie's a revert as well. So mashallah. Ahlan wa
in,
sahlan.
initially, I was on the revert thing, but I don't know. I think as I've got like older now, some things don't really. I don't know.
Oh,
It's like, you know what I mean?
yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like one of those things, isn't it? After a while, you just think to yourself, you know what? Just let it be. Is it
Yeah,
like, is it like that? Yeah. It's like one of
yeah,
those
like
arguments when you first start practicing, and you're very
yeah,
argumentative about where you should put your hands in salat and how far you should
yeah,
raise them. And then all of a
yeah.
sudden, you reach an age where you think, oh, forget all this, man. Just pray your salat. As long as you're praying your salat, that's a
That's
big
it.
thing.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand what you're saying, but there are some people who would be very sort of like particular about this. So I thought maybe
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna ask Hamza this, bro. I don't know. Maybe Hamza will just say to me, no, I'm the revert. I'm a revert follower.
Subhanallah, like asked me like 10 years ago, and I could have a debate for an hour about it, but
It's interesting. Okay,
I don't
tell me
know.
this. I don't understand this. Why is it that when you have like a revert would kind of like certain rulings, they would take certain rulings to be very, very harsh and strict. They would prefer to take harsh and strict rulings rather than taking like an easier. And this is from my experience.
Yeah,
Sometimes someone came to me and asked me like a masala. I remember there's one guy and he came and asked me a particular masala, and I said to him, look, there is scope for this. I mean, it's not as strict as they say. But then he said, no, I don't take that opinion. I take the other opinion. Basically, the masla was this. You know, like for example, when you're getting, like, you go to the shops and there's a cashier there, and they're giving you
Mm.
money in your hand, like loads of coins.
Yeah.
And so there's no way to place the coins. So you obviously put your hand out, and then she places your hand, and her fingers might touch your hand. Does that make
Astaghfirullah.
sense? Yeah. So he said
Yeah.
to me, what's the ruling of this? And I said, look, if it's a difficult situation, right, where there's no other way, then it's fine. And he goes,
Yeah.
no, I don't do that. He goes, what I do is I take a card out of my pocket, I tell her to put all the money into a card, and I said, that's fine. I go, but there is this, like, it's not everyone has this ability to be able to
Yeah.
take all the strict rulings all the time.
Yeah.
So I found this. I don't know what do
I
you say
I
about this?
think, you know, like, this is another thing. Like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, I'd probably be on the same kind of vibe. But I think you know, from my own experience, is the more you learn, um, as the more thick you learn as well, and the more
Mm,
you start understanding how fiqh works, and it's not always like one answer, and the Sharia is very vast in its kind of accommodating every kind of scenario and situation. Then you kind
mm,
of relax a bit more.
mm.
Um, but um,
So you're saying, so
but
okay, so I
still, but
understand what you're
still,
saying. You're saying
still
so.
on a personal level though,
Hmm.
if someone wants to follow the stricter, like stricter, I don't even like using the word strict, because sometimes it's taqwa, you could say. It's a more taqwa
Okay.
opinion. If someone
Mm,
wants to adopt that one, fine, let them do that. But
mm.
I think the problem comes when um, the newly practicing and the revert come in so, like, um, you know, with lots of juzba,
Hmm.
um,
You're
the
putting all
con
these Urdu words in there, bro.
yeah, bro, it's the language of dawah. um,
After Arabic is the most blessed language, yeah? Is that
well,
what you're saying?
I don't know, according to some, it's not. um, if once you learn how thick um
Operates.
operates, then
Yeah.
you can kind of be a bit more relaxed and say, okay, you know what, that person's doing something different. I can't really be so harsh or strict of him and try and like change his
Hmm.
opinion for my opinion. I think it's an understanding, but that's where knowledge comes in, and learning.
Yeah, I guess it's. I think maybe it's also what we experience as well as people who are born Muslim, in the sense that we're born in a Muslim family and we're
Yeah,
brought up, and we kind of are oblivious to just like certain strictness. So we kind of accept certain differences of opinions from an early age, so we don't question it.
yeah,
And then I think sometimes what tends to happen is when a person starts practicing, comes from a background that is non-practicing Muslim to a strictly practicing, and then all of a sudden it's like everything has to be black and white for them to be able to. And
yeah,
I actually see this as well in narrations in the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. It was like when some of the early Sahaba accepted Islam, they took a very sort of like a non-dispensational position on a lot of things.
yeah.
It was like everything that they took was like a very strict position.
Hmm.
And in fact, the Quran actually says this as well. The Quran says, "Alam ya'ni lilladhina amanu an takhsha qulubuhum lidhikr Allah." That this verse was revealed in Medina, and the Sahaba said, when this verse was revealed, we realized our state was changing, because the verse translates as, "Hasn't the time come for the believers, for their hearts to become soft, and they shouldn't be like those who came before them, the Jews and Christians, whose hearts became hardened over time."
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was like the Sahaba was saying that we used to be so like you can say firm on the faith and strict, and then all of a sudden after time the Quran was telling us, why are you becoming soft for? What's happening to you? So it was like there was this natural sort of thing. So I think what you said was very interesting point, that instead of saying strictness, it's the taqwa.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like people are seeing it as being, no, you're actually getting more closer to Allah
yeah.
when a person is actually looking at it that way, which is interesting. I think Um, but anyway, I just thought I'd ask you that question because I need to ask a revert this question, bro. It was always kind of bugging my mind. Alhamdulillah, answers done. So anyway, all right. So give us a little bit about your background, how your little journey. I know this is a question which you've been asked like a million times by every Muslim that's met you. They always ask you, how did you become
billion times.
Muslim? And I know it does become a bit annoying. I can tell it does become a bit annoying. It's like when I think I understand it now. I'm slowly starting to understand it when people start asking me things like, "Tell us how you started learning knowledge. Tell us." And all I say now is on my YouTube channel. Go on my YouTube channel. I've made a I've made a series of videos where I explain all of that. So
Yeah.
what you need to do, Hamza, is start a
Uh,
YouTube channel and make some videos how you accepted Islam, and then you can just put it up and just send them the link, and it saves you all that time, bro.
yeah, man.
So anyway, come on, tell us, bro.
Okay. You know, when I used to say it all the time, I used to get bored. But then, and I used to think like, what's the point in me telling this story? Like, it make like if it's not going to benefit you or benefit me, what's the point? You just want to hear a story. But then, sometimes like you get like a bit of a reminder after like someone comes up to you and says like, oh, remember I met you so many years ago and you told me this, and it really encouraged me to do something. And that's kind of my intention why I even repeat it nowadays, because if it inspires someone to do something or practice more, whatever, then that's brilliant.
Yeah,
But
definitely,
yeah,
definitely. I mean, I've been inspired so many times hearing revert stories. I
yeah.
think it's a for especially for Muslims who are born in a Muslim family. You don't. I mean, I don't know. Do you still get that feeling when you see someone take shahada? Do you still get emotional feeling when you see someone else take shahada?
Uh, you know,
Because we do. Like when we
I,
see someone take shahada, trust me, it is like an Eid for us,
the
and
thing is, yeah,
you can't explain it.
the thing is now, yeah, is that when someone becomes a Muslim, especially a Gora, yeah, they bring him straight to me, right? And it's so sad though, because I've seen so many people who supposedly become Muslim, uh, but they're being rushed into it by the people giving them dawah. And then, I mean, I had one guy, subhanAllah, like, I was in the masjid for Zuhur. My friend was getting married. He got married. It was his walima straight away. And then after Zuhur, the guy who does run the street dawah in town, he was like looking, and he saw me. He goes, "Come here." So I'll come over, and there's this like white guy with him, like middle-aged white guy, and he's like, "Brother, this brother became Muslim. Speak to him." I'm like, "What do you want me to say?" Right? I'm like, "Okay, how are you? Whatever." And then the guy who gave him dawah and brought him to the masjid and became Muslim with him, he just like left him with me, and I'm going to this walima. So we got
Oh,
so the host said just bring him along. So I bring him along, and we start talking. We sit down, just getting to know him a bit, small talk. And I said, so brother, what, like, how did you become Muslim then? What happened? And he goes, well, I don't know. I was just in town. Next thing I'm in the mosque, and now I'm with you. I don't know what happened. I'm like, what? I said,
he was
what?
conned into it.
Well, I said to him, well, what did the brother say to you? He
Yeah.
said, look, if you die tomorrow, you're gonna go to hell, and you don't wanna go to hell,
Oh,
do you? And he's like, nah,
yeah.
nah, nah, I don't go to hell. But do you believe in God? Yeah, I believe in God. Then say this, La ilaha. And he went through the Shahada, and he says, I'm a Muslim now. And I go, is that all he said to you? And he's like, yeah. And then I said, okay, do you believe in one God? And I just went through the articles of faith that we should all believe in. When I said, do you believe in angels? He goes, I don't know, but I think I'm one. I'm
Oh.
like, right? Even things like life after death. He's like, I don't know. Do you believe in paradise and hell? I'm not too sure about that one. It's like the things
Mm,
that you should be believing in. And I
mm.
said, do you like, to be honest, I should have stopped when I said, do you believe that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the last and final prophet and messenger? And he goes, I'm not too sure. I should have stopped
Mm,
it there, but I just carried on anyway to see where he was at. And then
yeah.
in the end, like I said to him, look, brother, I'm really sorry, but you're not actually a Muslim because there's certain things you need to believe in. And he was so like regretful. He felt sorry for me. He kept saying sorry to me. I said, no,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. I think they gave him the Quran. I said, look, here's my number. Take my number. If you read Quran, you got any questions, whatever, come down,
Mm,
whatever, and take it slow, but don't get forced into it. And unfortunately, a lot of times this happens, and
mm.
they're always given to me. And then when I see them leave, it's quite heartbreaking to be
Hurtful.
honest.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, I
so
don't.
so you kind of see the problem. Is the problem in the da'wah method? What do you think the
See,
problem
like,
is with this?
so sometimes, like, because there's only like one or like probably a year that have like a system in place and stuff, whereas other people they're like, yeah, man, it's my job and duty to give dawah. It doesn't matter how I do it, and they'll be so forceful and
Mm,
back people into a corner, and I don't know. There's no kind of like repercussions, I suppose, for those people who just
mm,
go out on the street and give dawah, and then kind of it's dangerous. If someone takes your harder and then they leave Islam a week
mm,
later, who's
mm,
responsible for that?
mm. So for yourself, if you went back in time and you met
Yeah,
one of these da'wah guys,
yeah.
do you think you would have accepted Islam by listening to their talk?
Well, I did meet one of these devil guys.
Oh, did you? Okay, tell us
Yeah.
then.
So, see, and this is another problem though as well. If the person they're talking to isn't kind of strong-willed, you know,
Mm,
they can easily kind of be backed into a corner. Alhamdulillah, I wasn't like that. I was like, I'm taking my time, leave me alone.
okay.
um, but what happened was, right, well, initially, this whole journey began when I was 14. When I was 14, I had this dream, and it was such a vivid dream. Like, even when I talk about it today, I can still like see the whole dream in my head. It was surreal. It was like I was actually there. Basically, I'm on like the side of these train tracks, and like these all these people, thousands of people, and all of a sudden they start walking across the train tracks, and I'm thinking, yo, this is dangerous. Like, why are they doing that? And then as I look to my left, there's this face comes out of nowhere, looks at me and goes, "It's okay, you can do it as well." So I started walking because I had this confidence now that I could walk across the train tracks. As I get to the train tracks, I'm in the middle, like in on the tracks.
Mm,
As I look to my right, there's this massive Virgin train coming towards me, and then
mm,
it goes through me, and I'm like I'm seeing all the carriages inside, etc. Then I start floating up, and then, like there's this massive like cloud and this light, and there's like this. It's like an invisible hand. I knew there was a hand there, but I couldn't see the hand. And as I was going to this light, I wake up, and I woke up and I was crying when I woke up because I thought I was dead. And I still remember it was like I don't know, it was like a summer 11 o'clock. I think I woke up. 14 years old, man. You sleep until midday.
mm.
And I go downstairs and my mom's in the kitchen and I'm crying. I go, Mom, am I alive? Am I alive? And I'm pinching myself. And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? Of course you're alive. And then that kind of like really shook me. But being 14, that's when, crazy things are going on.
Mm,
You're trying to figure out who you are, and you get into like all sorts of things. So I was like sex, drugs, rock and roll and whatever else.
mm,
Um, but all the time I like have conversations with my friends late at night, why are we here? Like what's the meaning of life and kind of thing. And you're 14, 15, 16, you're not really getting to any kind of, you know, good answers. It's just so
mm,
rubbish most of the time. So I
mm,
came to the conclusion that the meaning of life is to find the meaning of life.
mm.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's quite smart, you know.
It's a good
And
one. I'm
then
gonna use that. I'm gonna use that in my next talk.
and then when I think I was about when I was about 17 or 18, I was in bed one day and I couldn't get to sleep. And then all of a sudden I had this like massive pain across my chest, pain down my arm. Like in hindsight, I think I was having a heart attack.
Mm,
And I couldn't breathe. Like it was very shallow breathing. And I thought, well, I'm gonna die. And it was like, late at night, everyone's asleep. I'm thinking, wow, my mom's gonna find me in the bed in the morning. I'm 17, 18, however old I was, so young to die, and all these thoughts going through my head. And then I finally accepted, I'm dying. I'm gonna die. So I couldn't
mm,
breathe. And then obviously I didn't. The pain went, I could breathe. And then I thought, you know what, that wasn't a dream. That was real. What if I did actually die? What's
mm,
next? Am I ready? Etc. So all these kind of questions going through my head. Um, so then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna look for God.
mm,
Now, previously, I believed there was a God, but I didn't know whether it was God was called the cosmos, God was called Shiva or Ram or whatever
mm,
else. I didn't know what it was called.
mm,
Um, so I mean, I went to a Catholic primary school, so I knew all like the stories about the prophets. And that always had like a that's those stories always like stayed with me. I remember clearly like watching a cartoon about Moses in class one day, I think year 5 and stuff.
mm.
Um, Never believed Jesus was the son of God. Always believed he was a prophet. I didn't believe that narrative at all. Um, so all these stories were with me still. But then
So,
I,
so
but,
were
but
you like was your family from a practicing Christian background?
no, actually, it's only a few years ago. I asked my nan this as well. I said, "Nan, was you ever christened?" Because like my nan's like 90 odd, like nearly 90 now, and like she was like, "No, I wasn't christened." So like even for like her age, it was like the done thing.
Mm,
You get christened when you're born. Not even more.
mm,
She wasn't christened. My mom wasn't christened. No one in my family is at all religious at
mm,
all. It's like when you die, you die. That's it. Funny enough though, my mom when she was 11, she
mm,
actually got herself baptized.
mm.
She used to go to Sunday school with a
So, what's
friend.
the difference between baptizing and christening?
I'm not too sure to be honest.
Mm, okay.
Yeah. I think the Christians were like when the baby's born, you go and then they get there's like an altar where the water is and like the
Mm,
put it on the baby's head or they dip the baby in the water. And I think the baptism is pretty much the same, but you submerge yourself in
okay.
water. Yeah. Um. Yeah, but so that was kind of interesting. But my mom would never like raise me as like
Mm,
religious kind of thing. There was no religious talk at all in my house. I only went to a Catholic school because it was convenient for my mom. It was like close to where she worked.
okay.
Um, yeah. So I was there from like year 2 to year 6. Um, so anyway,
So,
so then I
okay.
thought,
So things like Christmas, you used to celebrate Christmas.
yeah,
Okay. Easter, stuff like that.
yeah, that it's all not for the religious.
Ah.
It was all for the Easter eggs and the presents and that. But I remember, yeah, when I was a kid, I was like 8 or 9, and I found out Santa wasn't real. That's it.
Ah.
Killed it.
That's it, bro. It's end of all your
Yeah, it was.
dreams and
Yeah, it's just something you get presents on. That's it.
yeah.
It's
I
just your
guess a lot of
birthday.
people actually kind of see Christmas now as not a religious festival. They see it as just like a cultural sort of like a time of celebration. People get
Yeah,
holidays and yeah. Interesting,
but
interesting.
but then when I was a teenager, like I think like why are we even doing it then if you don't believe in it?
Ah.
It's like you live in a lie. Like I remember when I was a kid, I found out wrestling wasn't real, and I stopped watching wrestling. I
I
thought,
remember
why
that
watch
day.
something that's like,
I remember that day when I
no,
found that wrestling was not real. I couldn't believe it. Trust me, when
it,
my dad told me, he goes to me, right, wrestling's not real, by the way. It's all made. I go, no, it is real. Don't you see them when they hit the ground, it makes a noise. And I've seen blood. I said, he goes, how come there's no blood all the time then? If someone fights like that on the street, there's always Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so it's interesting. Like you're saying that when you were searching for Islam, it's like what was that thing? How could you describe that thing inside of you that made you want to ask all these questions?
It, it was just a longing for the truth.
Like, did you feel you were in control of that, or was it like it was as though someone like you were being inspired by that?
In hindsight, I can say I was definitely being guided. Definitely. At the time though, like there's no concept like how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala controls everything. There's no kind of concept. It's like you're in control, you're doing it. You kind of like you're the master of your own fate. That's before I knew who Allah was,
Hmm.
you know. So it's kind of like I have to find out, I have to research, I have to find the answers.
Hmm.
But
I,
I don't know. So, saying that though, like when I went on this journey, like when I was 17, 18, when that thing happened, every day when I got into bed, every day when I got into bed, because I believe there was a God, like I
hmm.
said, but I didn't know what that God was.
Hmm.
So I get into bed every night, and sometimes, like I usually tell this part at the end of the story because this is what I believe kind of led me to Islam or got Allah to like give me hidayah,
Hmm.
which was
Okay.
I say, and I remember the dua. I say every night, "Oh God, thank you for blessing me. Bless everyone else, whether they're white or black, yellow, green, Chinese, American, French, German. Bless them, but and forgive me and forgive everyone else, whether they're white, black, yellow, green, Chinese, Japanese, American, German, French, everyone. But put me on the path that leads me straight to you."
And this was before Islam.
This was before Islam.
Oh,
So yeah,
you were
so
proper
now
like a peer. You were a peer in them days.
choof, choof, choof. So
Yo,
the so
you
the
got everything, bro. You got it all, bro. Even
yeah.
before.
So then I go to sleep, and then so kind of like when I made the decision to look for God, I went through everything. Like well, I didn't go through every. I can't say I went through everything, but I made the decision not to go to Judaism. One, because you can't become a Jew, and secondly, at that age, I was into conspiracy theories.
Oh,
So 9/11 and all these things, and
all
I was like,
right.
yeah. So then, um, and I thought I'm not going to go to Christianity because I know the contradictions in the Bible, and if that's from God, how can God contradict Himself?
Mm,
You know what I mean? If He's created everything, how
yeah.
can He create? So anyway, so my first protocol, because I reckon myself to be quite spiritual,
Mm.
yeah, I went to Hinduism. Um, my next door neighbor she was a Hindu. She gave me like these like really like child books about Hinduism and stuff like that. So I read them. Then I went to a mandir around the corner from me, and I remember it clearly. I went there, and this guy, he's in Shuaka means he had a bindi on, and I thought, this guy, I need to speak to this guy. This guy, he knows, like this guy will know the answer to my questions. So I said to him, like really nicely, because a Gora going in there, asking questions, it's gonna look weird. So I said to him, no, I approached him really nicely and said, excuse me, hello, how are you? I want to know more about Hinduism. Could you tell me more about Hinduism, please? And he looked at me, he went up and down and went, and just walked off. I'm like, huh? Like,
What were
whoa,
you wearing?
probably just
Just
jeans
normal
and t-shirt.
clothes.
I don't know. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Um, and then I thought, whoa, that's weird. Like,
Mm.
so then I went to the one next door. But the one next door, which I later found out, was actually a Sikh temple, a Gurdwara.
Oh,
But
it's not.
it
Is
was
that the same one by the mosque?
nah. This is in Bilston.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but you can't tell it was a Gurdwara because like just it was just a building. It wasn't like purpose
Mm.
built.
Mm.
So I knocked on that door, and then the same thing happened again. I was like, "Oh no, more about Hinduism. Can you tell me, please?" And the guy looked at me and just slammed the door on my face. I was like,
Oh no.
"Whoa, man, these Hindus don't like me at all, man. Already." So
Allah.
it didn't put me off. Like I was still looking into it and stuff.
Mm.
And I told one of my friends who I knew was a Hindu, and he goes, "Oh, my mom works at the mandir. Like, she'll let you in. She'll show you around." "Oh, okay, then fine." So I met her. I went in there. She showed me, put the penny in the box, and she like done sajda and stuff. And I was like a bit taken aback. And then she just left me alone. She went to cook the food. I was like, okay. And I was left alone there. Um, then I left. And then studying more about it, found about the caste system and all these other things. I was like, nah, like this is zulm, like this is not just. Um,
Mm.
and then I went to Sikhism. Um, and then I was on Sikhism very long because it was quite clear very early on that that wasn't a religion um, given through revelation. You
Okay.
know, um, so I was on that very long. And then I went on to like spiritualism and ancient Egypt
And
and meditate.
how long was this all taking place in? What was the time frame?
From when I first started to when I became Muslim, it was like 2 to 3 years.
And did it, at any of this point, okay, 2 3 years is a long time. At
Yeah.
any point, didn't you kind of get bored and fed up and said, "Oh, why is it taking so long for me to find the truth?"
Uh, no, not really, because you know sometimes you go on the internet to research stuff, and it's just like a rabbit's hole. You go from one
Too
thing to
much
the
matrix,
other,
bro.
and
Too much
yeah, yeah,
matrix.
yeah, you get sucked into loads of things on the internet. It's just never ending. Um, Plus, you watch all like these documentaries,
Oh yeah,
Zeitgeist and David Icke and all these other things and whatever else. And
reptile. Yeah, reptile.
yeah,
Did you ever kind of fall into that one and believe that the world are controlled by reptiles?
funnily enough, yeah, after I became Muslim, like I'll get into this part actually. I had to go to court, yeah, and one accusation against me was that I believe the royal family was reptiles because I listened to
Really?
them. Yeah, like I was accused of that, and I was like, nah, I don't believe that. That's what David Icke says, and I've listened to David Icke, but I don't believe that. That's
Yeah.
just a bit crazy. Like I'm not, nah, nah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's like a bit strange to me. Come on, man. Everyone like reptiles and wearing this kind of human skin over their faces, and I don't know. I mean, that's too hard for. I think it's an average person to be able to accept.
Yeah,
Far-fetched.
but have you seen the videos? Like, the other
Yeah,
one is like,
have you seen the latest one? You know that lady who's had a jab. Have you seen that one?
no, I haven't seen that
The
one.
lady had the vaccine, the first vaccine.
Yeah,
That 91-year-old lady.
yeah,
So she's sitting and she's made this kind of like shape, like this. Yeah.
yeah.
And she's got a t-shirt on, and she got this cardigan on. On the t-shirt, there seems to be like a Disney cartoon figure, and one
Ooh.
eye's showing, like the cardigan
Oh
is,
gosh.
and people are saying, "Ah, that's it, bro. That's it. We knew the
You know,
vaccines are all set up from Freemasons, and the
you,
one
you
eye
know,
and the shape."
so sometimes Sheikh Zahir when I used to, when I first became Muslim, Sheikh Zahir I used to watch a lot of his talks, and like sometimes he'd point and he'd be like this, like he'd have like the devil's horn like and
Oh,
he pointing. And I'm like, if any conspiracy theory guy gets on that, he'd be like, this guy's a undercover guy and working for Illuminati, whatever else. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I think see the thing with these kind of things is there's no end to this.
yeah,
It's like if you're gonna take a conspiracy theory, for example, first of all, there's no solid proof.
yeah,
It's always gonna be, a possibility.
yeah,
It's a possibility that they're reptiles. And then where does it end? Because one conspiracy theory seems to kind of like clash with 20 others. And how do you make like a sequence between them? How do you bring
yeah.
them together, synchronize them? Like, are everyone reptiles? Is everyone like from Mars? Were the pyramids built by these elite
Aliens.
human race, or like is the world run by three people? You know,
Yeah.
is there these kind of super witch meetings that occur around the world, and where the vaccine is like some kind of like chemical that's gonna change our bodies and make us, I don't know. Then you get tired. I get tired of this and that. In fact, I started practicing when I first heard the in the shadows. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
My dad actually put that onto me one day. He goes, son, come down. I was just like in my room, like doing some like some A levels, revision. I go, "Oh, okay, come down." He put it on. He goes, this is about your religion. You're gonna learn about Islam. And
This
literally,
is
like,
when
oh,
you become a
he,
man.
Islam. I don't know which part of Islam you had to do it. You put this cassette on, and the first thing you hear is like, Louis Farrakhan, saying his kind of statement.
Yeah.
Because I heard that cassette so many times, I can literally kind of read it off from memory. That was my kind of like, like gateway to Islam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Oh, you're talking about you had these questions in your head, and they started at some point, and you saw a dream.
Mm.
That was the cassette. That was my dream bayan. That was where everything started from. I knew more about this cassette than I did about the local imam in the mosque, basically. And when I heard this and asked that, then questions, and walking down the road, I'm thinking to myself, what's in the sky? What if
Am
there's
I
some
being
people that live
watched?
there? And the government, is there really a government, or is there like some Dajjal system out there? And have you
Yeah.
seen the way that they make the maps? They're all like straight lines. And so I began to become paranoid in these kind of things. And then I found
Yeah.
like minded people in college who kind of thought like me as well. And
Yeah,
then
it's
that's
just an
it.
echo chamber then.
That's it. And everyone just enjoys that. They love that kind of like, bouncing off each other. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So,
You know,
so
I'll
okay.
tell you
So go
a
on.
book that really helped me get off conspiracy theories
Go
was
on.
Sheikh Abul Hassan Ali Nadwi Rahmatullah's book Saviors of Islamic Spirit.
Really?
Yeah, because people always got to look at how bad the situation of the Ummah is, and everyone seems to be just be waiting for Imam Mahdi now. And then when you read that book, it's kind of like, let's just say for argument's sake that all these conspiracy theories are true, okay, and they do want to control us, and they do want to do this and whatever else, okay. The problem with that narrative, as Muslims anyway, is that all of a sudden Allah is taken out the equation. We
Mm.
say the Illuminati rule the world. The Illuminati are controlling the world. La hawla wa la quwwata illa
Mm.
billah. They might plan to do all these things. They might plan to incarcerate millions of Muslims, whatever the conspiracy theories are. But Allah is the best of planners. The Mongols came and desecrated the Muslim world, near enough.
Mm.
Over 1 million people in Baghdad and all these things. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
I heard. I think Mufti Mangera was saying that 1,000 years ago, Imam Suyuti gave like a timeline of like 60 years or whatever it was, that this is when the Dajjal's going to come out. That was 1,000 years ago, and we're
Mm.
still here. So we could, it you
Mm.
carry on planting. That hadith where someone came to the Prophet and said,
Sallallahu Alaihi
when's the hour?
Wasallam.
And he said, what have you done to prepare for the hour?
Mm.
And a lot of the time, we're just watching videos on conspiracy theories that may or might not be true,
Mm.
and just conjecture most of the time, and not really, you don't, no one knows. and that's
Mm.
and that's kind of the beauty of not knowing the signs in it, etc., but not knowing whether you are in that time or that time's to come, or
Mm.
whether that's the beauty, because you don't know. So just carry on doing what you need to do,
Mm.
and then your death could come anytime.
Mm. I think that point that you mentioned is a very good point. That people become detached from God, Allah. They become detached from Allah, and they
Yeah,
become so like focused on this idea of there being some sort of like power that's more powerful than Allah, or
yeah,
that you can't get out of, and then you lose hope in society.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I found this myself when I was kind of like in the early years of practicing, and I used to hear these kind of conspiracy theories, and everyone bought that Dajjal book, right? And everyone listened to Sheikh Hamza Yusuf's first talks from the Dajjal,
yeah,
right? And how he talks about the whole American dollar and the sign and the all that kind of like Latin those
yeah,
statements, And then it came to a point where I just thought to myself, you know what? It's like we can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of doing something in life? Because these guys are in control, and this kind of stuff was kind of like making people feel uh,
Despondent.
inferior,
Yeah.
despondent, inferior. It seemed as though there was no escape, there was no hope, and that's the opposite of what Islam teaches. Because
Yeah.
Islam always teaches there is hope. And what you mentioned about that book, now I'm understanding now.
Yeah.
Because when you read that book and you read about how each individual, the scholars in the past, they kind of created this sort of like society, and they endeavored to kind of develop it as best as they could. If they kind of were living their lives according to conspiracy theories, they would have stopped it ages ago. They would have just said,
Yeah. Yeah.
"What's the point? Let's just wait for Imam Mahdi to kind of
Yeah.
come, and then we'll open the madrasa, and then we'll, start our initiatives."
I'm just taking my sheep to the mountains.
Yeah, that's it, bro. You're gonna go to the mountains, but I think it's very sort of like easy for a youngster to get trapped into this, and then for a revert, I'm imagining
It's
because
entertaining.
entertaining, yeah, yeah,
And
definitely,
that, I'd see a lot of ulama when they say, you know, you make like a talk about the fiqh of salah or fiqh of wudu or fiqh of trading, whatever else, and like you'll have like a handful of people at the talk, and then you have like 2 day seminar on Dajjal, Mehdi, and Isa, and like it's
yeah,
packed out, like because
yeah,
you're in that time now where just people just want to be entertained, and like they think the dean's just
yeah.
entertainment. Yeah, there is that aspect. I mean, and it's very interesting, but know your limits.
Mm.
It's
All
good
right,
to know.
answer this
Yeah,
question, yeah.
yeah,
So when someone first newly comes into anything, they're very observant. Initial observations are the ones that are very sort of like memorable.
yeah.
So your initial observations of like cultural Muslims, like us guys, what
Okay.
was it initially? How did you feel as though we're not doing enough for our religion? Did you kind of initially have the impression that these guys are
W-
just
What do you mean initially? Like,
like
like
when
the
you go to
first,
a new
the
school, a new
first.
workplace?
You talking about the first year or like the first kind of like weeks and months of becoming Muslim?
Yeah, first weeks, months when you began to recognize other Muslims.
Honestly, like I say this a lot that in my initial days of becoming Muslim, I don't remember praying. I know I prayed. I know I prayed, but I don't remember like that being like the standout. What I remember is the hospitality. I remember being invited to people's houses. You walk into a shop and they'll be like, "You Muslim, brother?" Yes. "Oh, you new Muslim? Yeah. How long?" 2 weeks. And like, don't worry, you have it for free.
Yeah, whoa.
Yeah. Whoa, I used to get food. Just, sometimes I wish I brought a few other things from the shop, but yeah, you just used to get them for free, and people used to invite you to the house, feed you. That's all I remember. That was my initial
Ajib.
my initial um like exposure was like just hospitality, and because I never kind of experienced that in my life. Like, sometimes in like white culture, it's like you go around for someone's house for a cup of tea, and then like you're there for half an hour, and they're like, "All right, see you then." They're trying to get you out the door. Whereas, like, you're trying to go at like a Muslim's house, and like, "No, no, brother, have
Mm,
some more. Finish, please. Have some.
mm.
Bring the dessert and whatever else." And you know what I mean? That's all I remember. I just
So
remember
you
the
basically what you're
hospitality.
saying is that's the best form of da'wah for you.
The quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Ajib. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so you kind of tasted the sort of hospitality of the Muslims.
Yeah,
Yeah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Okay, so all right. So next question then.
yeah,
So you kind of you've gone through your journey. You've seen this dream. You become very inquisitive. You're
yeah.
asking loads of questions, and then okay. So now you accept Islam. So tell us about how you accept Islam then.
Okay, so after going through like all these religions and spiritualism and doing meditation with crystals and I actually became a Rasta as well at one point
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
And how do you
Um,
how do you become a Rasta? Like, there's some procedure, or you just smoke certain things?
you just smoke certain things and listen to certain things. And that's what I was doing. I had a Bob Marley t-shirt. I mean, my hair was short, so I couldn't grow dreads yet. I had intention though. Um, yeah, I was on that for a little bit, and but then it's just like a distorted form of Christianity. They follow King James Bible, and they believe Haile Selassie the third is like the reincarnate of Isa alayhi salam because he
Oh,
defeated the superpower Italians of the day and all these kind of things. But I still listen to the reggae and the Bob Marley and
oh,
whatever else kind of thing. Yeah. And then after going through all this, and actually the last thing I came to before I was a communist, that's like socialist,
oh,
was
communist as well.
no, um, was spirit like what was it? Is it was called spiritual Christianity or whatever it was. I don't know. Anyway, so it's basically like spirituality with Christianity, and a family friend ran this church with her husband, and I was kind of like I've gone through everything. And by the way, Islam didn't actually come to my mind yet, and it wasn't because I had like I didn't know any Muslims for one. I didn't believe any like the news about Muslims. I just didn't have a view of Muslims, and I didn't have a view of Islam, and it just never came to my mind. Um, and so the last thing I came to was this Christian spirituality, and basically like it's a medium at the front saying, I got this message and there's this and that and whatever else. So I went the second time I went to this like service.
Mm.
This woman just like stopped and like stared at me on the stage, and she's like, "I can see a dog by your feet." I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
Yeah. Then she started giving like these messages, and somehow she's like seeing like big bulky padding and stuff like this. And I used to play ice hockey as a kid, and then she started talking about her nephew who lives in Canada who plays ice hockey. And I'm like, whoa, these people know me. Like, how does she know this kind
oh,
of thing? So I kind of got sucked in a bit. So then I started going to like these little, like you could call it like a majlis where like you try and like develop your spirituality and your clairvoyancy and whatever else.
oh.
So you go in these circles, and it'd be like the lights are dipped down low, and you're supposed to close your eyes, and
So was it
if you
like more like a form of like a cult hypnosis sort of thing?
nah, it wasn't cultish. It wasn't cultish at all. Nah, you just went there, went in a circle, and if you get like a message or a feeling, or saw something in your head, you just say it, and like it could be a message for someone there. And I never got anything, and I always thought these guys are lying, man. Like can see a rose, and it's general things like that. I used to fall asleep sometimes, but but the some like weird things started happening to me though. One day, like I went to do one of these things, and then I came back, and I was with my partner at the time, and I'm lying in bed trying to sleep, and all of a sudden I can see like these images of like this dog, this red car, and this caravan. I'm thinking, whoa, where's this from? And I say to my partner at the time, I said, did you used to have a caravan that looked like this? And I describe it, and she go, yeah. I said, do you have a red car that used to look like this? Yeah. And you had a dog that looked like this. How do you know all this? I said, oh, I can see it in my head. So all these weird things started happening to me. I used to be sitting down on the sofa watching TV, and I'd have like these, like when you get like this feeling that someone's behind you,
Hmm.
like trying to scare you. I had that feeling all the time. I was getting some funny dreams and some funny experiences.
So how do you explain that? What do you think it was? Jinn.
Well, yeah, in hindsight, it's gin because that's all it is. They've got some gym telling them some half truths, and they're putting it out there. And a lot of the time, the people who went to these things were like they're bereaved people. They lost their wife, or they lost their someone in their family. You know what I mean? And like, so it's kind of like a comforting thing for them that they get this message from their mom or someone that's passed away, and it's kind of
Hmm.
like it comforts them, kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's the vibes I got from them anyway. Yeah. So in hindsight, I think I was just messing with gin because I was doing a lot of like I had these crystals, like it was weird. Like I tried to do like this astral projection, where you like get your soul to
Yeah,
leave the
what is that?
body.
What's astral projection?
So basically, it's you get your soul to leave your body, and you can go on astral project. You can go, like the peers. They can like go
Yeah.
pray Medina. Yeah, man, you can get your soul to pray Medina and go all over the world and all this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Because I
you
remember
got like,
there was actually like CIA would actually in the 70s or was it in the 60s they used to actually try this against the
wow.
Russians. They actually
Mm,
tried this. They used to have people who they claimed could actually see far distances
yeah,
in their heads. And I don't know how it kind of they kind of got this. Maybe they were just trying all options against the Russians.
maybe.
But
This is all unseen stuff. Like we don't know how it works really. It's it's crazy. But one time I was doing this meditation with these crystals. I had one on my third eye. I had like specific crystals. Like you had to be specific crystals for these things. So I'm lying on my bed. I was just coming out of Rastafarianism as well. So I just been smoking. Um, and I was just lying there on my bed, and all of a sudden this weird experience. Like it was so weird. But all I can see this massive black space, and at the end there's this like this door opens, so it's just like a little white kind of opening, and then all of a sudden there's this like alien silhouette, and he's going, "Come, come." I'm like, "Whoa, like what's happening here?" So I started to go towards this thing, and as I'm going towards it, like I've never experienced anything like this before. I got goosebumps all over my body, like everywhere. like my feet were tingling everywhere. So I'm going towards it. Going as I get closer, I kind of like I bottle it and I go, nah, I'm not doing this. So I get a bit scared and like I come out of it. And then there's another time like I was doing it and I felt like I was float. I could see myself floating and I could see the whole room that I was in. It was weird stuff. But from there,
okay,
I went to communism. I don't know how,
okay.
but
So
I
wait
went
one
to
second.
yeah,
So if you're finding this experience like something unexplainable,
yeah.
what made you leave it? Like I would assume that someone would kind of continue their life with this kind of.
I, I don't know. I think because I actually started asking questions at that Christian spiritualist church, and there wasn't satisfactory answers. I always used to find some kind of contradiction, and that's with all the other previous ones I went through as well. Like I'd always find something contradictory or didn't really weigh up to like a person's alcohol kind of thing. Um, I was still kind of like I got into like meditating like frequencies like radio waves like they say like 4.75 is like the frequency of the earth and all these kind of things. So I didn't kind of like leave it fully. I was still kind of dabbling in it here and there and whatever. But
So so
I
so
don't
so
know.
so this gin experience that you had, did it stop after
Yeah.
that? Stopped.
I kept having it a little bit, but as I went away from the Christian spiritualist church, yeah, it stopped. I had a mad experience though when I was doing Talim once in the
Go on
masjid.
then. Tell us.
Okay, so I think I was almost in like a few months, and I was Wolverhampton Masjid, didn't it? The
Yeah.
Jami
Waterloo
Masjid.
one.
Yeah. So in the foyer, so you had the main masjid, and they do the Urdu Talim in there, and in the foyer they do the English. So we're all doing the English, and I'm sitting down, and all of a sudden I see it from the corner of my eye coming through the doors like these like long black shadows, and I see them come past me and like they sit behind me, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. But
Oh.
there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
So you kind of felt their presence, or you can actually.
Yeah. I felt that I see. I don't know. It's like these long shadows. I don't know what it was. That's never happened to me again since.
It's probably
It was just
that guy
weird.
who saw the rose. He's probably after you. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, see, I mean, if I didn't have this conversation with you, I would never imagine you went through like someone was mentioning earlier. I think it was Hayati Safiya was mentioning earlier, that reverts have like a roller coaster of experience when they reach
Yeah.
Islam, before they reach Islam. That's like, 90% of Muslims would never be able to even understand what you guys go through before you accept
I,
Islam.
sometimes though I think like Muslims though they go through their own kind of roller coaster
Yeah.
because usually it's like you go from like a non-practicing family who identify as Muslim, but as soon as you become practicing, it's like it's a whole different ball game. It's a different kind of test kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I see. So it's basically like, I mean, from my own sort of like observation, I'd probably say it might be more of a like a aqidah journey, spiritual aqidah journey, which a non-Muslim goes through, and as a Muslim, it would be more to do with finding their roots. It's just kind of like, the windscreen's gone very dirty in the car, and you're just cleaning that windscreen, just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
understand, what your roots are, and as a
yeah,
Muslim, what you're supposed to be doing.
yeah.
So, okay. So, all right, tell us then. Go on, tell us what was this anticipation, bro? This anticipation of how did it kind of you accept Islam then?
Okay, so
So
like
you
the
left that
last thing,
group, that left the
yeah,
spiritual Christian group.
yeah. Still doing my own meditation type things, whatever, experimenting with that stuff. But then somehow, I don't know how, but I got into communism and socialism. So much so that I started. When the place I used to work at, I used to get people to join the union, and I was the union rep. There was no other union there, and like all this stuff. I used to read I read all the Che Guevara's diaries. I read Fidel Castro's autobiography. It's like 600 pages, like writing this small. So like it's a big read. I read Nelson Mandela's biography. That's like another, I don't know how many pages, hundreds of pages there. I watched the Che Guevara films. I started, but I got my local shop to this socialist paper called the Morning Star, and it's like 60p a day. So like I got
Oh,
him to order that in for me. Like I was on it. I used to walk around like an army jacket.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then
One of those kind
um
of German ones, those German jackets.
nah, not the
Was it that
German
one?
one, British one. uh, and then so when you're on when you go into all those kind of things, you get into like a lot of social justice campaigns. So one of them was Palestine. Um, so then I started listening to I don't know if you heard of him, Loki, like this
Yeah.
British hip hop
Okay.
guy, like he talks about Palestine and this that and the other. I was listening to his tracks all the time, Immortal Technique, and you know all this kind of stuff. I brought myself a Palestinian scarf, and I was at work and telling people about Palestine and this that and that. I was like going hardcore at it, like
Oh.
yeah, man. Um, and then so because I went into Palestine, I found out there was like this Wolverhampton Palestinian solidarity campaign in Wolverhampton, and one sister there, she organised this charity football match in Bill, and it was like a tournament. So I went along, and so apparently this was the first exposure to Muslims, and one of the first people um, that I met there was that aid worker Tox who
Oh.
set up. Yeah, he was there. Like this, like very early days. Yeah, I met him. Um, so this was like my first exposure to Muslims, and like I didn't feel like left out or like different or weird, whatever. It was a really nice experience. And then not long after that, that's when that Turkish aid ship that was going to Gaza got boarded in international waters and was shot up by the
Mm.
Israelis. And I remember it clear. I was at work and it was on the news. I just started crying, and my co was like, "What are you crying for?" I said, "Have you seen this? This like it's so sad." And then after that, there was a brother from London called Ibrahim. He was on that ship that got shot up. So he was like doing a tour, and he came to Wolverhampton. He gave like a talk about like eyewitness account, and there was like MP there, whatever, Labour MP, whatever else. Um, and then after that. this sister that organized it, her cousin, this Ibrahim, and there's me in like this circle, and they're all talking, and they're saying, "Inshallah, this, inshallah, da da da, inshallah." I'm like, what the hell is this inshallah thing, man? Like, what they keep saying this thing for? I'm saying this in my head. I didn't ask. So I went home and I thought, I'm gonna Google this inshallah thing or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. So I couldn't remember what it was though, and I was like typing all sorts in Google, and he didn't recognize what I was saying. So I asked this girl like, "Yo, what's this thing you were saying?" So she told me. So I Googled it. God willing. So yo, that's nice. That's a nice thing to say. But I can't say that. I'm not a Muslim. I can't say those things.
Yeah.
And then I started asking a few questions to her, but like she couldn't. She answered a few questions, but there wasn't like substantial answers. So anyway, I didn't think nothing of it. And then one day, this is where the street there were people coming now. One day, I'm walking through town, and I got like half an hour to spare until my bus to work. So I'm just walking around town, having a look around, and there was this stall out, and it wasn't obvious that like they were Muslims. It was just a stall, and there's people there. So I went over to have a look. I had all these leaflets about Islam and terrorism, Islam and women, Islam and this, da da da, all like the kind of controversial things that were going on. So I started taking these leaflets. Oh, okay, I'll take them. And this brother started talking to me, and then I remember clearly, like as he was talking to me, I'm thinking, yeah, but like a dog can become a tree and a human can get reincarnated, and I had all of these like Hindu ideas in my head, and it like my akida then was just all like woo, like all confused, like I didn't know what I believed then. But everything he was saying to me, like it made complete sense. Like, and I had no kind of argument to what he was telling me.
Oh.
And then before I went, I saw on the table there's a Quran in English. So I said, "Well, can I take that?" Like I didn't know it was in English. She said, "Yeah, take it." So I took it with the intention of reading it. I didn't read it for a long time, a long, long time. I didn't read it, but I don't know why. And then what happened was it was on my bookshelf, and at one point, every time I started going past my bookshelf, I had like this strong urge to like just stop and turn around, and I'd do it. And the first thing I look at was the Quran, and there was like this voice in my head saying, "Read that, read that, read that." And eventually, I thought, I'm putting this voice in my head to rest. I'm gonna read that. So I started reading it. Like sort of Bakra the cow, and I was thinking, oh, because I started thinking the Hindus again. I was like, what's this about, man? Kind of thing. And then I started reading it, reading. I think I got to Surah Ibrahim, and I was like, I need to go to a mosque. I need to speak to a Muslim more. By this time, I went back to college, and there was a guy there who also became Muslim. And I always used to see him like having these debates with this born again Christian guy, and the Muslim would always win these these debates. But I didn't really like get too into it, kind of thing. I was too busy studying whatever. But it was kind of interesting. So I got in contact with him.
So
and I
roughly
said,
what age was this at?
This was like 19, 18, 19.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was late. Yeah, I was late 18. It was like September, October, November time. I just started college then again. Yeah. So I contacted him. He couldn't really like answer my questions fully. But he said, there's this mosque, Waterloo Road, go there. So I rang up. I said, look, I'd like to learn more, like I did with the Hindu guy and all that. But this time the guy was like, yeah, come down, we'll talk. Okay. So I went down. I met a brother there. I was there for like 2.5 hours, and I literally only had like 1 or 2 questions because I just let him do the talking, and he explained things and what Muslims believe and what they do, etc., etc. And like I couldn't find any fault with what he was saying. So then I went. Then I kept in contact with him. I went again. Met another brother who was a revert. So the first brother I met was actually a revert from Sikhism. The second brother I met was actually a revert, like Gora, white guy, which was good as well. And then because at the time I had a partner, and by this time now, this was like over a course of like, I don't know. I think I went to the mosque in like the March time, and then probably by the September time, I just had my first child. I was 19.
Okay.
Okay, naughty.
MashaAllah.
And so
So
I was
so you
yeah,
could probably be a granddad by now.
a few years left. It's possible in a few years. Inshallah, no, not yet. Um,
Right.
so at the time I had a partner or whatever, and I was like telling her things about it, whatever. Um,
Mm,
but again, I was still kind of like new as well. You know what I mean? I didn't
mm,
know that much to kind of explain properly, whatever else.
mm.
Um, so then, the imam that was there before, Imam wasn't he Muhammad Mohsin? Like, he's moved to Derby now. He's not there no more. But I brought her along anyway, and he spoke to her and like gave a full dawah kind of thing. By this time, I was kind of already kind of convinced that this is the truth,
Mm,
but I was kind of like waiting for my partner as well because I didn't, got a baby, whatever else.
mm,
Um, so he spoke to her and we was coming down in the lift, and I was like, "So what do you think?" And she was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm really thinking about it now." I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." So before we left, though, I needed to go to the bathroom. That was the first time I saw those sit-down toilets. I was like, "How do I use this?"
I can't do this, bro. I can't do this.
Anyway, I come out. We're walking in the car park now. I said, "Yeah, so you're really thinking about it then?" And she's like,
Mm,
"I'm not going back there again." I was like, "Huh? Like, you just saying you're thinking about it? What's changed?" And she said, "When I was in the bathroom, this guy came out, started yelling in some other language. He's pointing the finger at me. He's pointing the finger at the person he's speaking to. And I know he was talking about me because he was pointing his finger at me. I'm not going back there again." I was like, "Wow, okay." So then I spoke to my friend, and he was like, "Oh, just tell her like this guy's senile, like don't pay no attention to him, whatever else." But her mind was set now, like, "Nah,
mm.
I'm not going back there again. Islam's not for me, this, that, and the other." Not long after that, we went on holiday with a family for 10 days in the Gower. The Gower's like, it's a really nice place actually. It's like 20 miles away from Swansea. You're in the middle of kind of nowhere on like this chalet park, and like right next to the sea. It's really nice.
Mm.
But I was there for like 10 days with the family. So like the first film we had to put on was East is East. Out of all the films, yeah, East is East was the first one that was put on. So you got the Muslims in there,
Yeah.
doing the
Wait,
so like
East is that the one made in Bradford?
yeah.
Okay, so go on then.
Where he buys him a watch. We're having his tickle tackle gun. So like for 10 days, literally, I was bullied for 10 days by her mom. Like
Oh.
she yeah, man. Like I remember once, like one night, I took some books about Islam and I was just doing some study, and she went in the kitchen like and um she got like a tea towel out and pretended to pray, and then like she stole the pen off me and started to draw something, and I took it back off her, and she said, "Oh, don't you want to know what I was drawing?" I said, "What?" And she's like, "I was gonna draw a woman in a ninja like this." I was like, "Oh, funny." So 10 days went by like this, right? Um, I got accused of training to I got accused of training to being prepared to go fight with the Taliban because I went over like the sand dunes. I ran over the sand dunes and whatever
Oh.
else. Yeah, and then at the end, like we had like this extended family come over, and they were like very political, very religious, and I was told don't talk about politics or religion with them. I was like, okay, no problem.
So
Anyway,
religious as in Christian religious.
yeah, Catholic, hardcore.
Oh right.
Um, yeah. Uh, where was I?
So go on the
Yeah,
sand
so
dunes and then go on.
yeah, so then she wanted me to eat like this sausage roll thing, and by that time I gave up pork as well, and I was like, "Now there's pork in there." why aren't you eating pork? I just don't want to. Why? Health reasons. He went on like this, and eventually
Oh,
I said, I'm thinking about becoming a Muslim. Literally, the whole room went silent. And
oh,
like her husband looked at me and said, "Well, as long as you don't bomb us, it's all right with me." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So then she saw all this and like kind of put her off as well. Um, and then one night, um, she said to me, "Look, you want to become Muslim? I don't. You got to make a choice."
mm,
And I kind of knew that time was coming, but I was too much of a coward to kind of face it.
mm.
Then he's putting a plate for me, and I was just like, Islam.
Subhanallah. Ajib.
Mm,
Yeah. Difficult, man. Difficult, bro. Difficult. So okay, so you came back from the holiday, yeah,
yeah,
and then I presume you decided to do shahada.
yeah. I left
Yeah.
that night. It was like 12:30, and I walked back to my mom's house, and then I gave it like another week. That was on a Sunday. By the
Mm.
Friday, I was like, I'm ready. I rang my friend and I went to the masjid and I just took shahada and like kind of never looked back.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. May Allah keep you steadfast and
I
put
mean,
barakah in your life. And mashallah, I mean, very inspirational story. I mean, a lot of the viewers, I think, also are inspired as well.
it
And
it it it, never, it didn't stop there though.
go on, go on,
And
go
then
for it.
and then and then obviously
This needs
because
to
I
be
said
made into a film, bro.
and
Blockbuster,
then
Netflix, new Netflix. You got that new Netflix? Is it what's it called, The Queen or something? Have you
oh
seen that
yeah
new
yeah.
controversial kind of one that's come out? You can have one called Hamza.
um and then after that, so I had a daughter, and then like then she kind of like stopped me from seeing my daughter. We had to like go to mediation, then go to court. Um, uh, After mediation, he's like, okay, you can come see your daughter on this day. The
Mm.
day I was gonna go, she was like, oh, you're not gonna come in your Islamic attire, are you? I was like, yeah, I am gonna, because I was wearing a jubba, and she like, you know, it's like, well, I know it's not compulsory. I said, well, I'm
Oh.
not gonna talk about Islam with you, yeah. I can come how I want to dress. So that
Mm.
kind of put a spanner in the works again. Um, and then went to court for like a few years. Then it was like I didn't get to see my daughter for like a whole 2 years. I had to go to like this center where like uh, it's kind of like supervised and whatever. It's really horrible. It's really horrible. And then it kind of went out of there. But there's always problems. Like she didn't want to see me. Oh, you're a nasty man. And you come out like her mom's told her that I'm a nasty man. But when she was with me, she was fine. And it was just like it was mad. It was crazy. And I still haven't seen her. I haven't seen her for like 7 years now.
Subhanallah.
Yeah. Every time I used to go to her house to pick her up, she's like, I'm not coming with you. And she'd be crying, you're a nasty man. Mommy said you're a nasty
Oh.
man and this and the other. Yeah, it was crazy. But alhamdulillah, I have yaqeen that my daughter's gonna try and find me at some point.
Mm.
That's just the way it is now. Everyone's online and everyone can find each other.
Inshallah.
Um so
Inshallah.
yeah, inshallah.
As long as she doesn't go to that Christian spiritual gathering and put a rock on her head and start seeing the jinns. Yeah. No one wants to go through all that to find something.
Uh,
Okay, so right, question for you now. So you know the
yeah,
shahada, yeah.
yeah,
When you took the
yeah,
shahada, a lot of reviewers I've spoken to, they say it's like something they feel go into their heart.
yeah.
Is that something that resonates with you?
Um, it was more like a weight off my shoulders. You just feel like
Okay.
a release, you know.
Hmm.
It was definitely like a spiritual experience, but yeah, I can't say like I felt it like go
Mm,
through my body and all this. No. 'Cause I think
yes.
I already became a Muslim really before then, because I remember I was at work and I had one of these leaflets with me, and
Mm.
it showed you how do you become a Muslim, and I'm there going,
And this is before tutorials, YouTube tutorials. This was like,
yeah, 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 exactly.
ajib, ajib. Okay, so then you kind of like after that, you slowly. So after you, okay, tell us about this is one part of your life, the challenges that you faced trying to, you know, get your family, your immediate family. How did they take it?
Well, my immediate family, like my family's not close at all anyway. So it was only like growing up, it was like my auntie, my mom, my nan, and that's about it. And like I got like six other aunties and uncles kind of thing. So
Oh, you're like a
and
proper
they're
Asian. You're already half Asian. The
yeah, I
number of
know,
aunties and uncles you got.
these guys aren't close. Like one was living in America, one was living in Gloucester, one was living in Ireland, one's living in Bulgaria. One went
Oh,
missing. One auntie went
subhanallah.
missing. Yeah, and he was only this year. No, this year or last year, she came back on the scene.
Oh,
Like weird. Like you couldn't make my life a Netflix series, definitely.
I'm definitely, trust me, I might start, you know, you might see in a few
Production.
months starring me in all the roles.
Mm.
Just have to, like, in few roles, just put my hands on my feet. Okay, so your close family, so then the ones that you were connected with,
Yeah,
so
I
how
think
did they take it?
so. Initially, like my mom was like, she's a bit upset because obviously like, I had the daughter and whatever else,
Hmm.
and she like they were all on like my partner's side, to be honest,
Oh.
initially. But then when they saw what she was doing, like with my daughter and stuff, then you know I just had to have sabr. I didn't argue with them or anything. I just had to have sabr on it, and eventually Allah just changed their hearts anyway towards kind of my side or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
but there was no kind of like, because we're not like my family's not close, so it didn't really like have an effect kind of thing, and no one from my family contacted me anyway about it. They
Hmm.
all knew, but no one like contacted me about it.
Yeah. Subhanallah, man.
So really, I don't really know their true feelings,
Yeah.
but I know a little bit, but they've never
Hmm.
spoke to me about it, to be honest. Never.
And okay, so now you reached, you kind of like, I mean, since I know you, mashallah, you know, you kind of attended a lot of gatherings, learning knowledge as well, seeking,
Yeah.
and you know, I think that's also something which is also inspiring to a lot of other people out there as well, that there can be someone who's accepted Islam and then goes so far that they even go further in their search of Islam than a
Yeah.
person who might be born and brought up in a Muslim family. So
Yeah.
what after that? What kind of what kind of inspired you to go and start continue your search for knowledge and learning more?
So, well, the masjid my local masjid, the one I went to first of all, and still go to, was Waterloo Masjid. So, like, in terms of knowledge and learning, there's not much going on there, to be honest. There used to be like a Friday tafsir, and I used to go to that, whatever. That was good.
Hmm.
But it was usually the Tabliki brothers that kind of got a hold of me.
Hmm.
Um, and alhamdulillah, that was great because it taught me iman in such a way that you don't really learn from books.
Hmm.
Because a lot of the time it's like, fiqh is this is how you do, this how you don't do, and whatever else. And you know, the Bleaky brothers were like, any if you have any problems, whatever else, you turn to Allah, you do two rakats.
Hmm.
And all through like my early stages of Islam, because there was obstacles in the way, like
Hmm.
things would come up, especially my daughter, maybe friends and work issues I'd encounter now I became Muslim. I'll just do 2 rakats. And subhanAllah, he always used to be like sorted kind of thing. So that kind of one turned my attention towards Allah and built my relationship with Allah to such as to a strong degree kind of thing. It strengthened my relationship with Allah a lot and gave me good foundations to go on. But obviously, like, Tablig's great. I've done 40 days or whatever else, and it's good. And apart from the kind of like
The
the
breakfast.
cultish, now the breakfast is all right. That's not spicy. It's the rest of the day. Apart from like some cultish behavior from brothers, you know, it's really good. But that can hinder you from progressing to like learning knowledge or, you know, learning tajweed or learning those things that we should learn. So, but it also encourages you to do that as well, you know, with Fadali Amal and whatever else. So that kind of like push me in those directions type of thing.
Okay.
I mean, the brothers wasn't really happy when I used to go to sit with other ulama to learn things because they thought the gush was more important than learning. You know, everything has its time and place.
So you had like so you kind of like you realized that, you know, certain things that you didn't agree with the Tablighi brothers.
Yeah. But that wasn't for a while though, because when I became Muslim, that's all I knew. I didn't know much else about. I knew like about Salafis because they try. You know, when you become Muslim, like you're like hot property. People want to claim you for themselves and like, you know, have you as a kind of like a brand, like not a brand, but like you know, marketing kind of image type of thing. You know what I mean? We got this white guy Revert. You know what I mean? So I knew about them and they confused me a lot and whatever else. So I was into the bleak a lot, to be honest.
Were you still getting the free desserts and free biryanis?
Nah, that ran out.
Free shopping.
That ran out. Because then when I started growing my beard, people was like, "Oh, brother, you from Afghanistan? You Pashto?" And I was, and you know. Sometimes, because I knew a bit of some Afghani brothers told me a bit of Pashto. I was like, Jori takre bekerde, you know, this
right, that's the way, bro.
And they thought, and they start talking to me in Pashto. I'm like, that's all I know, bro. I don't know anything else. So yeah, people got confused sometimes. So usually the conversation is, brother, where you from? I'm from England. Where? Wolverhampton. No, like, where you from? I'm from Wolverhampton. No. Where's your parents from? One's from Bilston and one's from Nottingham. And they're looking like, huh? No, where's your grandparents from? One's from Ireland, one's from Nottingham. And they get even more confused. And then to make the light, you know, the light bulb go off in their head, I'm like, bro, I'm a Gora. And then they go, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, you understand it now?
You're gonna like pull out your ID and you're gonna show, look, I'm
yeah. So sometimes I say like, where do you think I'm from? And I mean, it just, you know, you gotta have a bit of fun with it sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember once I was waiting to go I was waiting to go on the toilets once, and like there's a queue. And like I had my sleeves rolled up, and like I had tattoos on my arm, and this like uncle was like looking at me like, look. I was like, what? Because I had my hands on my head like this, like waiting, and it's on my arms, and he's like, look. I go, what, uncle? What is it? God, look on your arm, look. So I look, and I was like, oh no. How did that get
reptile?
So I lick my thumb, and I try rubbing it off, and I go, it's not coming off, uncle.
You're too cruel, you are.
And he goes, haram, that's haram. I go, yes, uncle, it's haram for you, but it wasn't haram for me at the time. So yeah, you get these people, don't
You should become a Netflix comedian
you?
with the amount of jokes you got. Uh, okay, so all right, so all right, so your search for knowledge, alhamdulillah. So okay, so we're gonna come to a near end now. So
Okay.
what is your advice? Okay, first of all, what's your advice for Muslims in general, and then what's your advice for people who have like converted to Islam? What would your like if you could give them like introductory advice, just a few points. That so
Give me
so you know
attention, brother.
if you could reverse your life again and go back in time, what would you have told yourself? So go for it.
Um, take it slow.
Okay.
Don't rush. Um, don't let people dictate to you how you should live your Islam. Like is in like you should do this or you should do that. Kind of like just take it easy, learn slowly, learn at your own pace because everyone's pace is different. Some people can take a lot at one time, and some people can't. Um, don't change your name straight away. As long as your name doesn't mean anything like bad, then leave it
So
because
so if I can ask, if I may ask, what was your name? Or what's your name still?
Alexander, Alexander,
Alexander,
yeah,
which is Alexander is
leader
like the
of men.
city in okay. Oh, so originally means leader of men.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
See,
interesting.
in hindsight, yeah, because changing my name kind of like put my relationship with people back, especially my mom. Your parents gave you your name and then you change it all of a sudden to like, for a lot of people, this is like a foreign religion. Like, why do you want to become Muslim? That's like an Asian thing, and you know what I mean. So like, yeah, don't change the name straight away. I think that's a big one really because especially for your parents, they can get really kind of hurt by that, really hurt. Um, yeah, just take it slowly.
So
Um,
okay, so
I-
so
I'd
so
I'd
there's a lot.
say,
I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and they've
yeah,
said that because many Sahaba didn't change their names, like a lot of
yeah,
the Sahaba, they just kept. So this idea of Islamic name itself, this is obviously something which there's a whole discussion out there of Sahaba didn't change their names. A few of them did. The
yeah,
Prophet ﷺ, he did. In fact,
yeah.
there's a few Sahaba
Abu
who
Shab,
they said to him, the Prophet ﷺ said to him, change your name, and he goes, no, I'm not going to change my name. He goes, my dad gave me my name. Why should I change my name for? The Prophet said, okay, it's fine. Keep your name.
yeah,
His name basically meant his name was Hazan, which means tough and hard, like rough.
yeah,
Yeah, like really rough and rugged. The Prophet said, change your name to like something like ease.
yeah,
He goes, no, I can't, because my dad gave me that name. So he goes, okay, it's fine. So then, like one of his grandchildren later on says, I wish my granddad had changed his name. Now our whole family has this like trait of harshness, roughness. So it's like interesting. I mean, I met a few people. They've kept their names. They haven't changed their
yeah,
names, and they say they find it to be a way of da'wah as well. So
yeah,
when
yeah,
they kind of like
yeah,
giving da'wah to other people, it's like they don't even have to speak to them, and they'll just see that, oh, this guy's got a name Andrew, or this lady's got a name, Jennifer, and she's a
yeah,
Muslim. She keeps that name, and it's like it doesn't have a bad meaning.
yeah.
So okay. Oh,
And
so what made
you
you
can.
choose Hamza then?
Oh gosh, this is another episode.
Allah. Yeah,
My
definitely,
first
definitely we need to have you on again.
my,
Definitely,
my
100%.
first my first 3 days. My first 3 days, everyone's like, "Oh, you changed your name yet? Why have you not changed your name? What are you going to change your name to?" I was like, "I don't know. I got a few names: Ibrahim, Saad, Zubair, and this and that." And this Hamza came into mind that week as well. Because I used to listen to a lot of Sheikh Zahir Mahmood's talks. Abdullah bin Zubair and Saad bin Waqas and this and that. So I really like those names. And so they said, "Make dua, just make dua for one then." So I was like, "Okay." So it was after Salah, and I made dua. I said, "Oh Allah, I don't know what name to have. Like, you choose a name for me." I can't choose. You choose name for me. So I said, I mean, no word of a lie. I look up and like like these window ledges in the masjids, they got the books on. There's this one book, and it was horizontal, and like people write on like when it's closed and they write like something on there. It said Hamza. I was like, whoa, like
Oh, do I accept
these,
it?
these work.
I should have asked for something else.
Yeah, so that freaked me out. I was like, whoa. Um, and then a few weeks later, a friend from Stoke came down, and we were doing gushed, and he goes, "Oh, you're not changing name yet, you know?" And I was like, "Nah, not really." He said, "Have you got any names?" I said, "Yeah, I got one, maybe. I don't know. What is it? What is it?" He said, "Nah, don't leave it. I don't just forget about it." No, tell me. And he kept going on. And I was like, "Okay, Hamza." And he goes, oh, "No way." I was honestly, the name I was going to suggest to you was Hamza. And then I was like, this is a sign, like I should do it or not. So I was like, you know what? My name's Hamza from now on. And that was it.
Oh,
That's when I changed it.
lion, bro, the lion,
Yeah.
lion of Wolverhampton. MashaAllah, mashallah. Excellent. Very beautiful name. Beautiful name. And in fact, the interesting thing is how Hamza radiallahu anh accepted Islam was because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was abused, was
Yeah.
verbally abused by disbelievers, Abu Jahl and others.
Yeah.
So out of anger, he accepted Islam.
Yeah.
I
And
remember that he.
sometimes I think like, because I read that story and I think like that must have been building for some time, seeing his own family being abused and that for some time, and then he kind of like he snapped, and just just pronounce his faith like kind of thing. And sometimes that's like me, like I let things build up and then I just snap. It's not
Whoa.
good. It's not
The
good.
lion
But
came out. Allah. So okay, so it's interesting. So when we hear stories about Sahaba accepting Islam,
yeah,
does that resonate with you? Some of their lives, some of their stories.
maybe Hamza's, but like you hear about like Khubayb and stuff like and Zubair and like burnt and like tortured and stuff. Like I can't say I understand that because I don't. That's just like that's the next level stuff. I think if that was to happen to me, would I be so strong? I'm not too sure.
What about the aspects of like Mus'ab ibn Umair and others whose families kind of tried to
Yeah,
get them
Musa
to
bin yeah,
pressurize them?
yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, when I hear
yeah,
these stories, very emotional. Like when you hear about the sacrifices that these people made. For us, for me, it's very. I can understand the story, but to kind of to make it something resonate with me, it'd be very difficult because I've never
yeah,
experienced something like that.
yeah,
But I know there would be people out there. There'll be, reverts sisters out there who probably secretly accepted Islam, and
yeah,
then they have to kind of obviously wear hijab, and then the wearing of the hijab in front of their family, and then telling their family they've accepted Islam, and then getting that pressure from the
yeah,
the other family, and them excommunicating them, and then trying to find a place in society to live in, and so. It would have been interesting if we could have brought a revert sister on today as well. Maybe hear that aspect as well.
yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so you chose the name Hamza because of a book that you saw. If only that book you saw had liaqat on there, would you have accepted it? Yeah, sometimes I think to myself, why did my granddad chose the name Liaqat? And I was thinking, why
Yeah.
is it like it's such a strange name? The only people in our community that have that name is like the uncle that probably is pointing out your tattoos to you. I guarantee you his name was probably Liaqat or something. Yeah. Ajib, subhanallah. Okay, so that's your advice for reverts, yeah? So now your advice, and then we'll finish off. Your advice for Muslims in general. Yeah, and
No,
then anyone else who's listening, you can put some questions up. So if Brother Hamza has time, inshallah, he'll try to answer those questions.
another advice to for new Muslims would be like connect yourself to ulama. Otherwise, you're kind of like left to the devices of people who might know a few things about Islam and Deen, but can um, tell you a lot of cultural stuff as well, and not necessarily Deeny stuff. And that happened to
Mm,
me, to be honest. Like, social dealings and whatever else, it can get a bit mixed up. So connecting to ulama that, you know, a lot of times, like I had a Maulana here, like who I connected with early on. And if anything kind of like confused me or whatever else, I'll just go to him, and it's the safest thing. Otherwise, it's
mm,
kind of like the blind leading the blind.
mm. So I mean, there must be a lot of people out there who are on a daily basis getting advice from ill-equipped uh, people out there who are just trying to give them like whatever they understand about Islam, and
Yeah,
in most cases it might be actually something which backfires
yeah, of course. Or
for
or
the.
something that's kind of like not relevant to them,
Mm,
because and this is the beauty of learning, that there's that particular incident where the Sahaba came to the Prophet. No, in Ramadan, the young person came and said, "Should I, can I kiss my wife?"
mm,
And the Prophet said, "No," but the old man came and said, "Yes,"
mm,
because the circumstances are different for each
mm,
individual. It's not always black and white.
mm. Yeah, good point. Definitely, definitely. I think that gives perspective as well to how we need to approach. Alhamdulillah. I think that's excellent, excellent. Okay, so next, so your advice to just general Muslims in general, from your observations, your learning of Islam, or what would you
Mm.
say at the moment, the top piece of advice that comes to your head?
Learn.
Learn. And you think that's a big thing that you're seeing in the community that's lacking it.
Yeah, because it's like we were saying earlier. It's a lot of time it's just they want the entertainment of the Deen, the entertaining parts.
Mm,
That that's all well and good, but that you know you could go on your grave tomorrow.
mm, definitely, definitely. I think that's where we, Subhanallah, may Allah protect us.
Mhm.
The reality is, I mean, life is very short.
Yeah,
Our how long are we going to go around in the world, doing what we're doing if it's not really going to help us get close to Allah?
no,
And I think these kind of things, I like hearing it from people who kind of see Islam from a different lens, who come from a different
mm,
background.
yeah,
Because generally, as Muslims, because like you say about the culture, I think a lot of Muslims, I feel, they kind of either conflate culture with Islam in many occasions,
yeah,
or it's for them they don't even, because they're kind of like they're so, like, you can say, to maybe the word privilege is not really the right word to use, but because they're so sort of like engrossed in culture which has been influenced in a way by Islam, they
yeah,
don't even have to think about Islam. They just have to kind of just like get on the bus of their culture, and the
yeah,
bus will take them wherever, and
yeah,
they can go to the mosque and they can fast in Ramadan, eat the samosas, and eat the biryani and eat and all this, and then they won't even have to think twice, make decisions regarding their
yeah,
faith. Whereas someone who has come from a culture which is totally different, it's like everything for them now is like a question of, what do I do here? Like, what does Allah want from me here? How do I?
but sometimes like um sometimes some like the culture is not that much different to what Islam actually wants for you anyway. Like
Mm,
saying thank you and please. Like that's one thing, yeah, but holding doors open, oh my gosh, like that's non-existent. Holding doors open, saying thank you and please, just basic courtesy kind of thing. It's kind of like
yeah,
that's a thing that's lacking a lot.
yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people just kind of assume this is, they expect it from people, so they don't kind of, that kind of, those kind of words of courtesy.
But
Yeah.
it's big dawa, big dawa,
Mm.
big dawa.
And what would you say? What would you say is like the biggest thing that? Okay, I suppose it's the hospitality. Yeah.
What?
What's the biggest thing that kind of attracts you towards Islam? Is it that the logical arguments? Is it that kind of like the connection you feel with God? What would you? Is it a more emotional thing that you feel that brought you that makes you more inclined towards Islam, or is it a more like
It wasn't.
academic?
I can't say it's one thing. I'm kind of um satisfied with with all kind of aspects of it. So like the spiritual side, the peace you feel is like wow, you never felt that peace before in your life. The
Mm,
academic arguments, it's all for me. It's all kind of like I've always considered myself kind of well-rounded. I don't like getting too caught up in like one thing.
mm,
Have my fingers in many pies, kind of thing.
mm,
Um, yeah, don't kind of like constrict yourself just to one
yeah,
aspect and whatever. So for me, it's like I don't know. It's not one thing.
a mixture. You're
It's a
saying.
mixture. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, interesting, interesting. Anyway, if there's any questions that you guys have, you can ask. Otherwise, inshallah, we're finishing this off. Hamza, I really enjoyed it today. Yeah, really enjoyed having you
Alhamdulillah.
on. And as usual, you know, apart from you know, every time I see you, I always remember ginger beer. I actually
I knew this was gonna come up.
I found this other one here.
Yeah.
What is it called, man? You know that famous company. It's a famous company. They got like a little dog's picture on there. Is it Finman? Fine. Is it Finman's? Right. They've
I don't
got
know.
like a ginger beer, a
Yeah.
botanical ginger beer, and it's pink in color. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, no, I've never seen that one.
Yeah, it's this Feynman. But anyway, that was a nice one that I had. But the one that you got, I still can't find that. You're saying to me it's in all Asian shops.
No,
I
it's
don't know what
Jamaican
Asian
shops.
shops.
Jamaican
Jamaican
shops.
shops.
Yeah.
Oh, Jamaican shops.
Yeah. I think
Okay, I'll have to go to
it's
some Jamaican.
tropical rhythms. It's called ginger cereal or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll have to. I know a few down the road. I'll have to
There's
go
the
visit
ginger
them and
and
see.
pineapple one as well. That's quite nice.
Yeah, no, the one that you
Yeah.
got bought that was very nice. I like that. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
So, Jazakallah khair, guys. A lot of people really enjoyed, mashallah, having you on, bro. And
Alhamdulillah.
inshallah, I'm going to call you on again,
I
inshallah. Yeah.
inshallah. I'm very honored to be on here. To be honest, like you're my
No, I,
ustad as well. So like
alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
I'm
I mean,
it's the honor's mine. Honestly.
no, I think it's both. We both benefit from each other, alhamdulillah. And I
Inshallah.
think a lot of times, see what happens with the podcast, Hamza. The aim of the podcast
Yeah.
has always been we want to create more exposure of like discussions or issues that
Yeah.
are in our community that a lot of people don't really have this kind of like um, a good understanding of. So, for
Yeah.
example, we hear everything we hear is either second hand or third hand,
Hmm.
right? And then it's like that conspiracy kind of thing. We build our own understanding of how society works, what reverts go through, what some other people in the community go through. But when we actually hear the first hand stories from people and what people
Yeah.
actually experience, it kind of puts things into perspective for us as well. It makes us
Yeah.
appreciate, that hearing it from someone who's actually qualified to speak about it, rather than having three Asian guys speaking about reverts and what
Yeah.
they go through.
Yeah.
Because I remember, when I went to one of the IRA events, and they were mentioning about the biggest problem that da'wah organizations are having is they're inviting loads of people to Islam, and with the story that you gave of that guy, who turned up to the mosque and he just didn't know why he was Muslim.
Mm.
That's so common. The problem is
Yeah.
they don't have like a buddy system after that, or they don't
Yeah.
have like a safety net after that. Where
It,
yeah,
even I don't know. See, look, even that's not straightforward because I've kind of you could say mentored new Muslims in the past, and it's also their own talab as well. If they haven't got
mm,
it, then you won't see them again. They've got to have that longing, that desire to keep coming and wanting to learn, kind of thing. Otherwise, you can have all the buddy systems in place, and
mm,
it still won't work.
mm, okay,
You know,
subhanallah.
see, see as well, like it's like why are people becoming Muslim? Like, is there a girl involved? Is there a boy involved?
Mm,
Is there some kind of like um cultural type something cultural attached to it, which will make me more like accepted with in my community. Or there's loads of things that are involved. You know, I've seen people
Yeah.
come out of prison and become Muslim in prison, and then they come out. They're on it for like a few weeks, and then they just fizzle out. You know,
Mm,
and it's not through any kind of like pressure. Um, it's more like kind of lost interest,
yeah.
even though there's someone there
Interesting.
for them.
Okay. So, yeah, it's difficult one day, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't make it straightforward
Yeah,
anymore now.
it's not. It's multifaceted. There's so many
Mm,
different things at play. It's not. There's
mm,
no like straight answer. You know,
mm.
it's not one shoe fits all. It's different. Like this really is. It really is different. It's for
Yeah,
everyone.
subhanallah. Someone's Hayati Safiya saying, uh, first question my dad asked was, "Is it for a man?" Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Anyway, Jazakallah khair, Hamza, for coming on. And all of you guys, Jazakallah khair for listening all the way through. Inshallah, we will see you guys next week, inshallah. And hopefully, inshallah, you know, we would have benefited from today's talk, inshallah. And we're going to, inshallah, definitely, Hamza, we're going to bring you back on, inshallah, in the future for a comedy show. There's going to have to be one comedy section here.
Season two.
Season 2, that's it. Controversial. It's gonna be non-controversial, yeah. Don't like come out with
Okay.
reptile stories and okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's the kind of conspiracy theory that you really are kind of like inclined towards?
Uh.
Illuminati, like Illuminati or reptile, or maybe
No.
there's
No.
some.
No. No. Because that one, the Illuminati New World Order, like that's just like a name for like a group of people that are just like being kind of like directed by Shaitan.
Mm,
That's all I put that down to. The Shaitan involved in all that kind of stuff, whispering and plotting and whatever else. You know, like the Shaitan came in the form of a man and said, to the creation, you should kill
mm,
the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You
Sallallahu
know, Shaitan's behind all that stuff. That's his
mm,
plan. That's his aim to direct people away from Allah and whatever else. But the one that I don't think it's a conspiracy theory no more.
it's a
It's
fact.
pretty much fact. Everyone who, even people who wasn't into conspiracy theories, even say this as well. 9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah,
There's
interesting.
too many. How can you find a passport of one of the pilots at Ground Zero, but you can't find the black box,
It was
paper,
made from a special
something?
material.
Yeah, of course. And you know what? Actually, you know what? My uncle, yeah, he lived in Washington at the time, and from his apartment, you could see the Pentagon, right? And I had the conversation about this before I was a Muslim. And he goes, you know what? I don't believe in conspiracy this and the other. But what I will say is whatever went into the Pentagon wasn't a plane. So, you don't believe in the conspiracy, but you're saying whatever went to the Pentagon isn't a plane. That makes no sense.
Mm.
So even he's saying like not everything kind of
So what was it?
matches up
What
kind of
went
thing.
into the?
I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know
Oh,
really. We don't know. But this is too. It's too weird. Like it's just too many questions. Too many unanswered questions. Even
yeah.
even families of people who died are asking questions and have their own doubts. So if they
Oh.
can have their own questions and doubts, why can't the average Joe?
Mm. I mean, the biggest thing is that a lot of this kind of the kind of background and everything to this was just to kind of attack countries which they claimed had weapons of mass
Yeah.
destruction and.
Look at all the laws that was brought in after that.
Mm. Anyway, Hamza,
And
Jazakallah khair again. Thank.
the
Yeah, go on. What do you say? Say it. I know
I
you want to
I
say
was gonna say
reptiles, bro.
the
I
biggest
know you
one
want
in
to
the
say
UK.
reptiles.
The biggest one in the UK was the Trojan horse one. That was a big conspiracy,
Yeah, that's actually come out to be.
and that's
Yeah, like.
exactly true. And
Mm,
everyone was saying it from the very get go. this isn't true. And it's funny
And the
how
main
Michael
guy who was
Gove,
actually involved, interestingly, was my
yeah,
drama teacher. I found out later on that one of the main guys who was actually pushing
or
for this to actually happen,
yeah,
for those teachers to be kicked out and to be taken over.
yeah,
I found out he was my drama teacher in the school that I used to study. A totally different school,
you're
totally different.
you're guilty by association then.
And I used to hate him. I used to hate him from day one, bro. So
You say that now.
my heart was against all. Because he used to make me do acting in the class, and I
Yeah.
didn't used to like it. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not an actor, bro. All right. Anyway, Hamza, it was nice having you, man.
You too.
Jazakallah khair, man. And inshallah, after COVID, we're gonna meet up definitely, bro.
Inshallah.
All right, guys. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.